Good people, welcome to another Fiddlehead Fiddle lesson. Today I'm going to do a lesson about playing chords on the fiddle. I've already done 4 that show you the basics of how to play chord backup so that you could, play as a support for somebody else playing a melody or somebody singing. And then you can also integrate these chords into tunes. But the lesson today is going to be it's going to be pretty much all about the theory, why these things are chords, all right? Now, if you haven't already seen the videos that I have done about how to make the basic chords, as I said in those, I recommend you really just learn those first, learn how to play all these chords, practice them a bit in progressions. So basically some we've done are like D. If you've already done this, then it's a little bit of a review, but D, G, A. In a nutshell, I'm just asking you to know these, memorize them, and be kind of comfortable with them before doing this lesson. Of course, you don't really have to listen to what I say, and that might be a good thing, a good idea, I don't know. But I think it's good to just know them, brute memorization, and then you can think about the theory. So if you feel okay with, you got a handle on them, then let's continue forward. So how do we make these chords? Why are they chords? And what does it all mean? What's life all about? Well, the last question, I don't know, but I can help with some of the first ones. I have another video on triads, and triads are how we make chords on the fiddle, in a nutshell. Let's look at the G major chord. So, and by the way, I'll put a lot of links in the comments field below, but one will be to a lesson on triads as well. So, to play a G major triad, any triad is the first, third, and fifth notes of a scale. So play the beginning of a G scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 1, then the 3rd degree of the scale, and the 5th degree. That's a triad, all right? And then we play this. So those notes are G, B, and D. Now we can play the next octave up. Same exact triad, an octave higher. So we put those two together. And then we can start the next octave. G, B. If you can go up to 3rd position, their D would be. I'm not going to really do things with that today because most fiddlers stay in 1st position, so I'm not going to talk about that. So basically all the notes of the G major triad spread across 1st position, which is 1st position, in case you don't know the term, means your hand is right here, not moving up and down, up. And so anyhow, all the triad notes are open G, G2, D, D3, A1, A3, E low 2, E4. Play it again. Simply put, to make a chord, you pick 2 out of the 3. That's it. That's the entire theory. All right, let's do it now. Let's make chords. Okay, we're going to stick with G. We're going to go deep into G major. All right, so the first G chord we learned, first G major chord, was open G and open D. The easiest chord pattern, 2 open strings. Now we can say, well, why is that a G major chord? And then we can play the triad. Open the 1st note of the scale, the 3rd note of the scale, and the 5th note of the scale. Get a better view. And we're basically picking the 1st and the 5th note of the scale. Voila! we have a G chord. Now, we learned later in the 4th lesson I did on chords that that's a G power chord, so it could be major or minor. That will be explained a little bit more later, how that works with this theory. All right, later in the lesson, hopefully. Hopefully I'll just need one lesson to get the job done on this. So, but for now, just kind of play. I want you to just start on your own, finding, mixing and playing like 2 notes from all this pool of notes. I recommend pausing, playing it, and just starting to do things like okay, so maybe you paused and actually messed around with the triad notes and try to pick 2 of the 3. If not, no worries, because I'm not sure that this is making sense. So maybe you need to see more. Basically, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play a whole bunch of ways to do the G chord. Now, in the first 4 lessons, I gave you 2 easy ways to do it. And if you don't learn anything else but how to play those 2 easy ways and you never understand the theory, you're going to be okay. You're going to be able to play on all these tunes. You don't even need to watch this lesson if it's confusing and it's irritating you. But there are people out there, I think, who kind of want to know why the chords are what they are. Fine. And I think it's fun. So that's why I'm doing this lesson. I think it'll be fun for you to know. And it could also give you more options, but more option anxiety too. So I don't know. This lesson is like, who knows what'll happen. Things could go crazy. All right, so there's the G we did. Play our triad. So 2 on G. We're gonna just move through this quick. 2 on G, open D is also a G major chord. Now, this is the beginning. D3 is also in the G major triad. It's the next octave G. So G2 plus D3, that also works as a G major chord. All right, let's keep moving. Open D is the 5th in the triad, and 1 on A is the 3rd in the triad. That's also a G major chord. Open D and G1. All right. Keep that. Open D and A1. I should slow down a little bit. I'm not talking very well now. D3 and A1. The D3 is the 1st note in the triad, or it's a G note, and the A1. Together, they're also a G major chord. Now place the 3rd finger across D and A. Also a G major chord. That's a power chord. As learned in the last lesson, it can be major or minor. Why? Because it doesn't have a 3rd. That will make more sense in a minute. So that's a power chord, as well as open G and D. Both are just G and D, G and D, G and D. Both power chords because they don't have a 3rd. Questions are arising in your mind. Hold on though. The 3rd is what will define whether it's major or minor. And we're going to get to that once we do minor chords in a second, okay? Let's finish out all the G major chords. This is fun, isn't it? And if you want to pause and practice, you can take any of these chords. Maybe that one's too hard for you. Just do open D and roll. And I recommend just playing them and thinking G, and then playing them with different rhythms. Tucka, triplets, swing. All right, so. Oh, it was awesome. You just did such a good job practicing, and that's great. You're such a model student. Sorry. No, I hope you did it, but if you didn't, that's okay, because this lesson may be confusing, maybe it's helpful. Let me know. Send me a message. All right, so we didn't finish all our G major chords. We made it this far. Now we're going to do this one, A1, G low 2. That's a really useful shape. That's also a G major chord. All right, let's keep going. Keep your E low 2 down and play an A3. Put those two together. Remember, by the way, that's a G major chord and a power chord. It's the first and the fifth. Actually, the fifth is here and the first is here. Remember, maybe you're playing this chord and it doesn't sound too good to you. So what you do is an exercise I call single double, or basically you alternate between playing singles and doubles. So do like 4 notes on the first and 4 here, and then do doubles. But maybe that's too hard. So then just do alternate singles a little bit. Try to relax your bow. And then go back to doing a double stop. Or maybe you need to do the left hand notes and then separately practice the bowing. Bow on A and E. I'm a little out of tune. Does that make sense? So you practice the single notes, you practice the double stop with no fingering, then you put them together with single double stop exercises. There's links to a whole video on single double exercises. It's a great way to learn to integrate double stops into tunes. Like, you can kind of create a texture by having the double stop not always played, but coming in as an accent. So again, the practice of single double stops, single double stop exercises, if you really do that, it'll be kind of effortless to just sort of add it in to tunes. We're almost done with all our G major chords in first position. Lastly, you can play A3 and E4. All right, so to recap, we did this one, up, and then we did open D and A1. All right, okay, and so now I recommend again. Okay, good. Thank you for watching so far. We're now going to look at G minor. And then for all the other keys, and the main fiddle keys again are G, D, A, and then behind those 3 big ones we have C, F, and B flat, I would say, and they're related minor keys. All right, so now we're gonna do G minor, just see how it's the same process of finding the chords. So G minor scale, we'll do a G Dorian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have 1, 2, so open G is the 1, low 2 on G, which is B flat, is the 3rd degree of the scale, and open D. So we have the G minor triad is. Now let's look at the G major triad to compare and contrast. Aha! They both have G and D, which is the root and the 5th. So if you make a chord out of the root and the 5th, that's which is a power chord, it could go either way, okay? That is, it could be major or minor because there's no 3rd. It's the 3rd degree of the scale which decides whether it's major or minor. Important point, okay? So we're gonna now just play some G minor chords. All right, so we have G and open D, that's the power chord, and now hopefully it's starting to make a little sense why that could be a minor chord as well as a major chord. Now we put our low 2 on G, and then open D, play them together. That works as a G minor chord, all right? Now keep that low 2 on G, play D3. That is a G minor chord too, all right? Now open D and A low 1. That's a G minor chord. Now keep your A low 1 down and play D3. That's a G minor chord. D, the third finger across D and A. That's a G minor chord, but it's a power chord, so remember, we just did it as a G major chord as well. G and D, same as G and D. That's a good exercise. Play them together. Let's see how they sound. In fact, a really good idea with these chords is to kind of sort of alternate between two different ways of doing it. That's just the open string one, and then low 2 on G. Stuff like that. And then of course you could add a rhythm to that. Alright, so moving through more of the G minor chords. We just did that one. Now we can do A low 1, E low 2. Okay, and now we can do, keep that low 2 down on E and do A3. A lot of options, I know, but as I said before, you can learn like about 1 or 2 of these and be good to go. But this lesson is for all those who had that burning question of how do you make chords? All right. The last one we'll do is A3 and E low 4. All right. So to recap all our G minor chords. Lastly, I want to do something really cool, I think. Let's go back to this, to the G major triad, and play this G major chord. So we can do a really cool sounding progression of G major to G minor really easily by doing this. Let's do tucka on G major, and then slide the 2 back to low 2 to make G minor. Okay, very cool sounding. I can't think of any tunes offhand that use that. Well, I can think of one, but it's not a fiddle tune. It's a Chris Isaak tune called Wicked Game. It has that really cool, I forget it, I don't know exactly what the main note, the tonic note is, but it's like G major to G minor or D major to D minor. And it's really cool sounding. So, well, I think that's about it for this lesson on the chord theory. If I can think of something else to add, I will, but I'm gonna stop this one here and just learn all these and experiment with putting different combinations of the triad together to make chords. And if once you kind of run the gamut with G major and G minor, move on to D major, play all the triad notes, and start doing D major. All right, A major, A minor, D major, D minor, C major, C minor. This would be some good ones to start with. All right, so let me know how it goes. Let me know if there's something I left out that would be helpful to hear about. I'm going to put a lot of useful links in the comments field below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for